Welcome to Better Tech, and the topic that we have for today is AI at work, fearing it and embracing it. So, because AI is a technology that has been around for some time, but across the globe, there are, I think, a lot of companies that still struggle with it. And in general perception being that some people kind of link AI to be very like robotics oriented. And so, how pop culture also references it. So I thought maybe we could discuss and have a discussion around that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. And by the way, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure being on your show.
Yeah, I look forward to hosting you. So I'm going to start the discussion with firstly, let's understand what the difference is between artificial intelligence and business intelligence.
Yeah, that's a really great question right there. And I think business intelligence uses artificial intelligence in order to collect its data. So AI, you could look at AI as being the overarching theme in both cases. But let's start with artificial intelligence. What is that? Artificial intelligence is basically a set of algorithms that can compute can compute things and come to conclusions very similar to the way humans think, only much faster and a much greater scale and much more efficiently. And AI is capable of analyzing information from multiple sources simultaneously and vast numbers of data sets simultaneously. So AI is going to be a critical component to every single business, every single industry, pretty much every single piece of technology that we're going to be building. Business intelligence leverages AI to calculate, to compute information that would affect business. So, for example, you want to know, how profitable this business is, or what are the trends among our client base, and how do we, what kinds of decisions do we need to make in order to drive our business forward? So business intelligence definitely leverages artificial intelligence, but it builds upon that.
Right. So, interestingly, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how people view artificial intelligence to be, particularly those in the outside of the tech industry. So, and there are people like Elon Musk, which is interesting because with all the developments that are going on with Neuralink and Tesla, he made the statement that AI is like summoning the demon. So, as someone in the tech industry, how far do you agree with this perception that people have around artificial intelligence? And is this something that people should be afraid of? Or I believe that, so we are in the tech industry, right? And we are the advocates of this. But how would you kind of talk someone who doesn't really know about this technology to kind of be on the same path as us?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure I heard correctly. You said he called it a demon.
Yeah, he made the statement where he said that AI is like summoning the demon.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting statement. And by the way, I love Elon. He's crazy in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? People like him are shaping the future of our technology, the future of our world, basically. Yeah. So here's the thing with AI. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a critical component that every business of every industry is going to be leveraging. And AI is a tool like everything else. You have a screwdriver. A screwdriver could be used to build things. It could be used to take things apart. AI is really the same thing. It's a tool, only a glorified tool that we can use to leverage in order to build technologies, in order to better people's lives. And unfortunately, it's also a tool that the bad guys can use, threat actors, people, hackers, people that want to break into companies, disrupt businesses, disrupt governments, lock down hospitals with ransomware so that, patients are unfortunately dying out in the street, or shut down governments. So the question about whether or not we should fear AI, no, it's not AI that we should fear. Just like it's not weapons that we need to fear. It's not vehicle. I mean, a vehicle is a weapon, right? It's people. I mean, it all boils down to human beings and how human beings use this tool. When it's used for good, I mean, think about how AI can be used to save lives. We're right now in the midst of the global COVID-19 pandemic, and a lot of people have died. Millions of people have died. Millions of people are sick in the hospital. It's disrupted lives and economies pretty much in every country of the world. No one was untouched by this pandemic,
Yeah.
and right, and we have our best minds right now working on a vaccine, or a solution to COVID-19, and I'm sure that our governments, our world leaders, aren't just thinking about COVID. They're thinking, what about the next one? What do we do when the next one hits? What happens if a hostile nation state invents some kind of a biological weapon similar to COVID-19 but much more deadly, and what do we do about this? So so AI is something that we can leverage to save lives. We can compare symptoms, and not just symptoms, but symptoms and the other physical characteristics about people, to find the similarities, to find patterns. Why is it that these people died and these people survived? Why is it that these people had no symptoms and these people were very sick? And so on and so on. And for that, we need AI. So AI is a life-saving tool. And like I mentioned, AI at the same time can be used for bad as well. So it really boils down to the same issue that we've been dealing with for thousands of years throughout our history. It's about I love using this phrase, the opening statement of the American Constitution. It's we the people. We're really the ones that are responsible for the success of AI, or for, unfortunately, some of the darker side of AI. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, right. And so, do you think this move towards leveraging more and more of AI is it going to make all human workers redundant? And then, secondly, can all jobs be automated?
Yeah, I get asked this question all the time, and it's such a great question. Um, Believe it or not, this is a question that people have been asking throughout the generations. It's not unique to AI as we know it today.
Oh,
Right? We've had automation. I mean, the Industrial Revolution got rid of a lot
right.
of jobs,
Yeah.
right? But it also created a lot of jobs. We need machine mechanics and computer operators. And then, we also had horse-drawn carriages, and those jobs got, became obsolete. But then we had drivers, chauffeurs, mechanics, car salesmen, and things like that. So yes, jobs will be lost. It's just a part of life. Jobs come and jobs go, and I really feel for the people that are in those industries that don't know anything else but those jobs. And when those jobs go, it's going to be very hard for those people. There will also be new jobs created, jobs that we've never even heard of. I mean, 10 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, have you ever heard of the job called a drone operator? Those things
Yeah.
didn't exist. So there will be new jobs and new opportunities, and it's constantly going to evolve. Um, I'd like to, I'd like to dovetail that with, what I feel about this, and what I feel we as a society can be doing about this in order to protect the people that are working at these jobs, in order to make their lives easier, as well as to help the companies that are looking to hire people, for these new jobs. So, you have people, and let's say, car mechanics, which might become automated and obsolete, for in favor of some new robotic form of mechanical engineering. There's always going to be a need for people to do something, whether it's to oversee something or whether it's to work on new technology. One thing is a fact. It's hard to hire new people. It costs money to hire new people. You're taking a risk with new people. The people that work for you today, you know who they are. You know what you've got. And you know who you're getting. They're loyal, they're hardworking, they do a great job, they work well, they're integrated into your team, into your culture. My recommendation or my suggestion is that companies should really take a serious look at upskilling their existing employees. First of all, that's going to be a benefit that they can offer employees without having to spend more money on them. Just this training alone, that's going to differentiate progressive companies from companies that are still old school, that might become obsolete. Companies that want to attract the best talent, they're the ones that are going to invest in the future of their employees and help them, throughout their career, so that they're not constantly, distracted by fear that, oh my gosh, I hear about this new technology. Will my job become obsolete in 6 months or 2 years from now? What's going to be with my family? How am I going to learn something new? So companies should really take a hard look at that, at upskilling employees. In terms of, I just want to finish the question, in terms of, can all jobs be automated? Many jobs, yes. And I'm sure even the ones that we can't imagine can be automated will probably also be automated in due time. So, automation is really a fact of life. It's here, it's coming, it's going to become much more prevalent. And it's really incumbent upon each and every one of us to look inside ourselves and leverage that uniqueness within ourselves, so that we can deliver value in a way that cannot be automated, because we are human beings, we are unique, and we have that potential, which AI and robotics don't have.
Right. And speaking of what you touched upon earlier, so what, according to you, are would you say, three main challenges that companies today, right now, are facing when it comes to really leveraging the full potential of AI with other emerging technologies? And then how do you think that they should be going about it if their strategy is not correct?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in terms of the challenges, um, technology is so new and technology is evolving very rapidly. And one challenge is that people jump on the bandwagon. Everybody wants to have the latest cool toy, the latest cool technology, and that's a big challenge, because on the one hand, is this challenge, I mean, not challenge, but is this technology really needed? Is it something that can really help your bottom line in your company? Or are you getting this just because it's the new kid on the block, it's this new shiny object? So that's one. On the other hand, you also can't afford to not invest in new technology, because your competitors are doing so. So you don't want your competitors to have that edge of the latest AI technology and you not have that. That's going to be a serious a serious disadvantage for you. And then the last challenge, like we talked about earlier, is really the people, the human element. Having the right staff that um, that can leverage that technology and take it forward. Use it for business purposes. So one area that I'm very passionate about is cybersecurity, and no cybersecurity solution is complete without AI technology. But as of last year, they were projecting a vacancy of 3.5 million jobs in cybersecurity alone. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist, you don't have to be a geek to know that not having people work in cybersecurity puts us at serious risk. I mean, just take a look at just what's on the news pretty much every day. Schools are shut down. Schools are being hacked. Their computer systems are shut down by ransomware. Hospitals are being shut down by ransomware. Governments are being shut down by ransomware. Hacks and ransomware. So we need the right people at these jobs in order for us to be effective. What can company do? What can companies do? And this goes back to what I had said earlier, which is something that I preach all the time, and that is there are so many people being let go from jobs today, and they're looking to hire new people, but for whatever reason, they can't hire enough people. Look at your existing employees. They are your best resources, your most loyal resources. Look at your older employees, the ones that are approaching retirement age but still need to work. They still need to provide for their families. And they're the ones that are most at risk, but they're the ones that have the greatest life experiences. They've been around the longest. They've seen the most things, and they are your most loyal employees. So I would say that companies should really look at this demographic and invest in them in order to prepare them for the jobs of tomorrow.
Right. So if you were to give one piece of advice, this would be it. Like, your people are your best asset.
Yeah, that would be like my strongest advice.
Right. So what made you interested in AI?
Well, pretty much, pretty much like I had talked about, where jobs get automated and jobs come and jobs go.
Mhm.
I became interested in AI back in 2016. I was a consultant in the field of telecommunications, and that industry was going through some serious upheaval. Cloud was a new technology, or I should say, it was becoming prevalent. It was already becoming a mature technology at that time, and cloud communications was becoming very popular. I mean, it's a lot more cost effective, efficient, and even secure for a company to purchase a seat on cloud communications for $20 a person per month, rather than invest $30,000 for a piece of hardware that sits in their back closet, collects dust and depreciates. So telecommunications was experiencing a bit of a downturn, at least the traditional communications, because of this new cloud technology. So, like we talked about, things get automated, and new things come in and old things go out. And as a telecommunications consultant working on legacy phone systems, I found myself in a situation where I was starting to lose business to the cloud. And I was also trying to jump on the cloud bandwagon, but so was everybody else in the industry. So it didn't really help me much. Then in 2017, I don't know if you've ever heard of a company called Avaya. They're one of the industry leaders in telecommunications. But the year of 2017, they found themselves in bankruptcy the entire year.
Oh,
So pretty much my consulting business did not have a good year that year. And I was doing some serious thinking about about the future of my career. What do I want to do with myself? And I decided that I want to do something that has longevity. I want to be in an industry that's going to be around for a while, and not just go away. And that's why I chose artificial intelligence, and I started doing some work for a company in Singapore that manufactured AI-enabled chatbots. That was my first real job experience with AI. And from there, I started up my business, which is AskTheCEO Media, where I work with industry leaders in AI and many of the other high-tech verticals, such as Internet of Things, cybersecurity, and other emerging technologies. So pretty much, my story is very similar to a lot of people that are going through this disruption because of the latest in technology. And that's how I got to where I am today.
yeah, makes sense because these technologies are kind of known to be disruptive. So just coming back to the topic at hand at work, do you think machines will ever be able to think and feel?
Wow. I think this goes back to the story of Pinocchio, right? The little wooden boy that
Yeah,
wanted to be a
yeah,
real boy. Will machines think and feel? I think machines will evolve. We're gonna we as humans are evolving. With every passing generation, we get smarter in terms of technology. We invent new things, and we build upon
yeah.
what the previous generation has built. I think that our technology is definitely headed in the direction of machines acting as if they think and feel. Will machines become sentient? I At least I don't think in our lifetime. Um, you know, how far they're going to evolve is anybody's guess, but I think at least in our lifetime, we're not going to be seeing sentient machines. I think that is a privilege that is reserved for us human beings. We have a life force within us, and uh, machines are tools. Maybe people don't like hearing that, but a robot is a tool. It was invented by a human to serve a need for us.
Yeah.
Um, right? And so that's my personal opinion. I believe that we will always have that. That's our humanity. That is that's who we are. We have a spirit. We have the human spirit. I don't think machines will have that.
And just following up on that, how much of human behavior can we study in the lab?
Say that again. How much human behavior
How
can
much of
be?
human behavior can we actually study in the lab?
How much human behavior can we study in the lab? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Well, AI is really good at that. Um, AI, if you think about it, we all project body language when we speak.
Yeah.
Some are more subtle, nuances. Some are more prominent. And this is a task that AI is really good at. They can read your face, the slightest twitch with your eye, the slightest intake of air, change of breath, change of breathing, through your nostrils, the way you tilt your head. All these things can be picked up by AI, and they can analyze, your behavior, whether you're lying, whether you're telling the truth. Your heart rate changes based on your emotions. If you're lying, your heart rate might increase, and AI will be able to pick that up. Infrared cameras can detect a slight temperature change. It'll be able to detect your heartbeat, and things like that. So yeah, AI is definitely a good tool for that.
Okay. And now we're just coming to the end of our discussion. I want to leave it with a bit of a good ending note. So, what do you think the future of artificial general intelligence will look like?
Oh wow. Well, I mean, the future is wide open. There's, the sky is the limit. Just to give you an idea of some of the exciting things that are happening today that we're already working on. This is a term that in the market it's called conversational commerce, and just like the name sounds, conversational commerce, excuse me, conversational commerce refers to using natural language, within a messenger application. Think of stuff that we're using today, like Skype, WhatsApp, or maybe even a voice assistant like Siri or Alexa, to interact with a business for an inquiry, a purchase, or customer service. So, for example, we have our smart homes. Smart homes are going to become much more popular in the future. You could ask your refrigerator, do we have milk? And using a combination of AI and natural language processing, we call NLP, your refrigerator can text you back, or respond back. Yes, but at your current rate of consumption, it'll be gone tomorrow. Would you like me to place an order with Amazon? You have a coffee maker and you're making a cup of coffee on a very tired morning, and your coffee maker knows that you're going to need a lot of coffee today because your your smart watch recorded that you didn't sleep enough, but your calendar is showing that you've got a full day today and you've got some big back-to-back meetings.
Right.
So your coffee maker knows to make you the coffee extra strong. And then while you're sipping the coffee, it interrupts you and goes, sorry to bother you, but we used up all those K cups. Would you like me to order a refill? It'll be here in an hour with a drone. So these are some really cool technologies that are coming out. What I love about this technology is, besides the fact that it's going to be very convenient for the consumer, think about the companies that invest in this technology, and think about our economy today. COVID, for example, killed off a lot of businesses. It killed off all these online events, and it messed around with companies' budgets, and people are now looking for creative ways to make money. Well, when that coffee maker just sold you a refill, when it refilled your coffee cup, those K cups, the manufacturer of the coffee maker that linked the coffee maker, let's say, to Amazon, just received a commission on that as an affiliate sales partner. So business is going to be exploding with opportunities like that with the new IoT smart home technology.
So
And
basically, there are endless opportunities, and they're going to be like quite intrusive. Like they're going to be affecting every aspect of our daily lives.
correct. I wouldn't call it intrusive, although that, we would need another at least 30 minutes to, to talk about the pros and cons of that.
Right.
Um, it, it by today's standards, it could definitely be perceived as intrusive. But if you think about it, if you look at the younger generation, not even millennials, but Gen Zs and iGen, uh, everything is an open book. They're letting everybody in. Now, we as a society, as an industry, need regulations and legislation in order to make sure that people's rights to data privacy is protected. So that's another conversation. But if you look at the consumer end of it, people are allowing this kind of access to their personal lives because they want the freedom, they want those conveniences.
Right.
So whether we like it or not, the old school generation is just going to have to get used to it. This is the way the world is going. This is where we're headed. So yes, have these conveniences that the new technology is going to be offering us.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Abraham, on a talk around AI. It was wonderful having you on Better Tech.
And thank you so much, Amna. It was a real honor being on your show.